Redline is a white-knuckle, edge-of-your-seat thrill ride. You know those movies that you watch that you know the plot really isn't all that deep, but the intensity of the action and just the pure excitement that the movie has really makes it worth watching. Redline does that, but it actually brings it to the level of art. Redline was finished in 2009 by the well-famous Madhouse Studios. Now, just take a bit and think about what the most beautiful works of Madhouse were. Maybe Hellsing Ultimate episodes 5 through 7. Those were just amazing. I love those. And just think that that same studio worked on this movie for 7 years. This movie is completely hand-drawn, and it is a work of art. When I was watching Redline, the art style is so unique. It feels almost very Western. It doesn't really look like you're watching an anime. It just looks very different from anything you've ever seen before. When watching Redline, it's easy to see that the most important parts are the action and the artwork. Now, the story here is a bit of an afterthought. It's easily the weakest part of the movie. It basically revolves around the main character here, JP, who got in trouble for throwing races. Basically what he does is he comes in last place up until the end of the race, and then he just boosts all of his nitros and just dusts everybody and gets right up on the finish line. And when everybody places their bets on him because they think he's going to win, his coordinator detonates his car and causes him to lose the race. And because of those turn of events where everybody starts to cast their bids on JP, they actually make a lot of money in the process, and they just split it between them. I feel that the story was very convoluted. You really had a few elements to have a complete story here, but because this is only a 100-minute long movie, that its emphasis is on the art and the action, you really don't have enough time to put all of the elements of a complete story in. So in the end, JP just threw a qualification race, which doesn't really make any sense because it's not really anything that special, and if they hadn't added that to the story, if they had just allowed JP to win the race, then he would have qualified anyways. It's really unnecessary to have the whole race throwing elements there, but needless to say, he goes over to the next race, which is called the Red Line. So the actual race of Redline itself takes place on a planet inhabited by a very violent biomechanical species. So when the leader of this other planet hears that the Red Line will be taking place there, he decides to take his entire army and kill all of them. So the majority of the actual race itself is the racers trying to avoid gunfire from the entire army. So on top of all of that action and excitement, you've got this beautiful artwork that took experts 7 years to make. You've got this amazing soundtrack that I would listen to off to the side. Like if I had the soundtrack to this, I would listen to that as I'm driving. Probably not a good idea because it's really high energy music, and I'd probably try and outrun everybody on the road. And you've got this really intense element of speed within the series. Like when they'll pop in the nitros in their car, the engine will just take off and leave the rest of it behind, and it'll look like they're getting slowly sucked into a black hole because their arms will just stretch away from their body and leave everything else behind. And you've got like blood coming out of their nose and tears and blood coming out of their eyes just because of the sheer element of speed within the movie. So I watched the movie of Redline in English, and there's nothing wrong with the dub. It's pretty good. The story overall, or the movie overall, is a bit mature. It features a lot of violence and explosions. There is a very small amount of nudity in the movie. I don't really find that to be a big issue, but some people might. And overall, the story, while there's not much here, you can actually find more story of the universe of Redline because there's actually a 4-episode OVA also made by Madhouse called Trava, which is spelled T-R-A-V-A. It's 4 episodes long. Each episode is 15 minutes long. The art style is similar to that of Redline, but it's not nearly as detailed as this is. So I watched Redline in English dub, and I've got to say there's nothing wrong with it. It's pretty good. And the story of Redline isn't really all that great, but if you want more of the story of the universe of Redline, there's actually a 4-episode OVA series also made by Madhouse called Trava, which is spelled T-R-A-V-A, and the 2 of the racers in the Red Line race itself are actually the main characters of that 4-episode OVA series. It's also made by Studio Madhouse. It's got a similar art style to Redline, but it isn't nearly as detailed. Overall, the movie of Redline is just a work of art. The artwork here is just so beautiful. It's something that I recommend for everyone. Just watching this movie, I feel that this is something that everyone needs to see just because the artwork is so beautiful. The action is just so intense, and the music is really good itself, but like I said, the story is really nothing special. So if you've seen Redline, then let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you've seen Trava, the 4-episode OVA, let me know your thoughts about that as well. A big thanks to James Hansen for sending this movie, and thank you all for watching. I'll see you later.